Hey everybody, today on Northern Revolutions, I'm going to do my entry for Robert's on the Turntable's Push to 700 Subs contest. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. My name's Rob. Today I'm going to do an entry for a vinyl community contest. Fellow YouTuber Robert from Robert's on the Turntable is doing a contest for his Push to 700 subs. Robert's a fellow Canadian, just lives about 3 hours east of where I am, and he's doing a contest where he would like us to show the 5 albums that influenced us most as teenagers. Now, I'm new to YouTube. I've only been on here less than a month. In my very first video, which I called my record journey, I talk about probably 6 records that really shaped me when I was getting into music, which was when I was a teenager. But I do want to enter Robert's contest, so I'm going to pick another 5 records that were hugely influential to me when I was a teenager. I started getting into music and started collecting records when I was a teenager, and that would be the early 90s. So I pulled 5 records from my collection that, like the ones that were in my record journey video, hugely influential. Before I go over those, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button. If you'd be so kind as to give me a subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And don't forget that bell notification icon. So, 5 records that influenced me as a teenager. First one is The Last Waltz by the band. I mentioned in my record journey video, I love the band. They are, I think, the best band ever come out of Canada. Yes, I know Levon was from Arkansas. This album, for those of you that don't know, was the band's essentially farewell concert. It's also a Martin Scorsese film. What do I say? I think this is the greatest live album ever made. It was the band on stage in San Francisco, Thanksgiving weekend, 77, I think. And they brought along a few of their famous friends. And when I'm talking famous friends, I'm talking about, Paul Butterfield, Eric Clapton, Neil Diamond, Bob Dylan, Emmylou Harris, Ron Hawkins, Dr. John, Joni Mitchell, Van Morrison, The Staples, Ringo Starr, Muddy Waters, Ron Wood, Neil Young. There isn't a more star-studded musical celebration than this. I love this record. When I was getting into the band, my dad said, Last Waltz will blow you away, and it did. And I still love it to this day. This is my original pressing from '78. I've got a new record store day release as well. So the next one I'm going to show, Aerosmith's Get a Grip. I was a teenager in the 90s, getting into music in the 90s. This came out in 93. When you think of Aerosmith back then, you think of those videos for Crying and Crazy, which got played relentlessly on Much Music, which is the Canadian version of MTV. When I think of 90s videos, I think of those. And both those songs are on this album. So is Eat the Rich, Living on the Edge, Walk On Down. This is just a fantastic Aerosmith record. Big ones I listen to a lot, and this I listen to a lot, both from the same era in Aerosmith's career. Yeah. If you saw my record journey video or you saw my Beatles deep dive, you know that I'm a huge Beatles fan. That's what started it all for me, Abbey Road and Sgt. Pepper. So I could show any Beatles record, and obviously hugely influential, but it went a little bit different on this one. John Lennon's Rock and Roll. John was my favorite Beatle, and this was the first Beatles solo record I listened to. I love this album. If I have my history correct, this was recorded in the mid 70s in Los Angeles when he was on a break from Yoko. It's his Lost Weekend, as it was called. And this is simply just John in the studio doing covers of traditional rock and roll songs. Bebop-A-Lula, Stand By Me, Ain't That a Shame, Sweet Little 16. I love this record. There's nothing, not brilliant songwriting or anything. It's not what John Lennon's known for. I just love that, my favorite musician paying homage essentially to the music that got him started. I think that's how I view this record. So this was my gateway into John's solo career. This next record came out in 96, so I would have been, I don't know how old I would have been, 18, I think. And I still love it to this day. And if I'm stranded on a desert island, this one has to be with me. And this is the Wallflowers Bringing Down the Horse. The Wallflowers is Jacob Dylan, Bob Dylan's son. I think I remember seeing the videos initially on Much Music for One Headlight, probably. This, I just love this. To me, this is the quintessential 90s rock, pop album, I guess. This has some amazing stuff. As I said, One Headlight, Three Marlenas, Fifth Avenue Heartache, God Don't Make Lonely Girls. This album, I love it. And I'm so glad that this came out on vinyl in 2016 for the first time. I couldn't live without this record. And the last one I'm going to show you does require a little bit of explanation. U2's Pop. So I'm a huge U2 fan, as I mentioned in my other videos. And Joshua Tree was the first one that I listened to of U2. I was dating a girl back in the 90s, and she was a huge U2 fan, and she said, you got to listen to Joshua Tree. And around that time was when Pop came out. So this came out in 97. I don't particularly like this record. But that said, when I think of me listening to music in the 90s, one of the things that is inescapable is U2's Pop Mart tour. My girlfriend at the time loved this album, and while I don't like the album specifically, the tour that they did for this record, the Pop Mart tour, was incredible. I have a few live show bootlegs from that tour, and I just remember being blown away at how great I thought U2 was live and what a spectacle the Pop Mart tour was. So between my exposure to Joshua Tree and the Pop Mart tour was what made me a U2 fan. So while I don't like this record, it's not that I don't like it, I just don't put it on to listen to it. It had a huge impact because it's what sort of opened the U2 world for me. So there you go, Robert. Those are my 5 albums that had a huge impact on me as a teenager. Thank you for doing your contest. I think it's great. Good luck to everyone that has created a video. That's all for me today, everybody. See you again real soon. Catch you on the flip side.